Hey guys, it's Max. Welcome to my 5-minute review of the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II. Now we're doing a full detailed review. It's just over a half hour long, focused on the video aspects. And since that review is so detailed, we go over so much topics and it's that long, I decided to make a 5-minute version of it for those of you guys who don't want to watch the full thing, just kind of want to get the basics on the video side. Now I'm not doing anything talking about photos, any stuff like that, because I really wanted to spend this last month with this camera and really dive deep just into video so I can learn as much and do as much tests and comparisons and really give you guys some great information. So that's what we're going to be covering here in this 5 minutes. The first thing I want to mention is the build quality and ergonomics. Now this is one of the best Micro Four Thirds cameras that I've held in my hands. It feels really high quality. All the buttons, switches, dials, they feel really nice, and it feels like it's going to last a long time, and it definitely feels worthy of that price tag, which of course is $2,000. It's the most expensive Micro Four Thirds camera that has been released so far, at least until the GH5 comes out, which is similarly priced. I really like how easy it is to access all the settings. The menu system is decently easy to learn, but on the video side there are some menu options where you just trail in really deep, and it does take some time to learn and figure it out, but once you do, it's not too difficult to know where you need to get. Now a couple quirks is if you want to adjust your ISO and your shutter and aperture, there's a little switch that you have to flip up and down, so you can either adjust your aperture and shutter speed, or you have to flip a little switch first and then you can access ISO or your microphone input. So that's a little quirky, but you do get used to it. Now if you want to adjust your microphone gain settings, you could do so, but all the dials are really clicky. So if you're using a shotgun mic, that is going to kind of get in the way, and you might hear those clicks while you're switching those settings, so be aware of that. Now while we're talking about mics, the actual preamp in the camera for video use is really bad. It's one of the most noisy preamps that I've ever used, and even if you feed a really high quality loud signal into it and set the internal gain settings to the very lowest setting, it's still quite audible, that hiss. So if you're going to be using this for work and you want to use the internal audio, you're gonna have to be using post-production noise removal software, which is what I had to do with any video that I made with it. Now the rear LCD and touchscreen works really well. It's nice and bright and easy to see. It's not as sharp as Panasonic or Samsung or Canon, but you can use it to manual focus. So I like the way they did a couple of things such as the levels. They don't take up a lot of the screen space, so you can still see if your horizon is level, and that's a nice feature. And also the histogram, it doesn't like stick out or take a lot of the screen space, so you don't have to turn it on and off. It's small but long, and that's kind of where you have to use for exposing, because you can't change the metering in camera in the video mode. You're locked out, so you're definitely going to have to use the histogram to do your exposure. A couple things I really like is the battery indicator is actually read out in minutes, so you know if you have a half hour left or an hour. That makes it nice to use instead of having a percentage or even just a few bars of battery. Going into 4K quality, the image is decent, but it's not great. I would say it's about average or a little below average as far as comparing to Panasonic or Fuji or Sony, similar to the 5D Mark IV, which to me, I've been using 4K for over 3 years now. It looks more like a 2.7K upscaled. Now, one issue with that is the bitrate is very low. Olympus really advertised their 237 bitrate, but it's usually about 35 average, sometimes hitting 50. So I don't know if this is just a bug or why this is, but you can definitely see compression artifacts inside the 4K video. There is one flat mode, which they call picture profile on, and it's not very flat. It's kind of like in between a flat profile and a regular profile, but this is the mode that I would suggest because the other modes, the colors are kind of weird, and the auto white balance is too sensitive and not very accurate compared to the other cameras I've used. So I would definitely use that picture profile on, which does mean you're gonna have to spend more time in post-production adding in contrast, saturation, tweaking your colors, which is a shame because this is, I thought, would be a nice run and gun camera, but it doesn't seem like it's turning out that way. The low light performance isn't great. It's also average to a little bit below average. Interestingly, the Panasonics that are cheaper actually perform better than this camera does, and that might have something to do with that bitrate. Onto dynamic range, it also isn't great, average, or maybe a little bit below average. It's not bad, and impressively, when you lift up the shadows, they're quite clean compared to the competition, but the highlights just get cut off, so if you overexpose anything, it's lost, even in that flat picture profile. Video autofocus is also average to below average. It's better than what Panasonic offers, but nothing close to Sony or Canon, which is a shame because that would be great for run and gun filmmaking. Now, on a bright side, the IBIS is very good. It honestly is the best IBIS around, and handheld footage, even with manual lenses, look really nice and really stable, so this is a huge plus. So in conclusion, if you're looking to pick up this camera for a video or even a 50-50 photo-video mix, I wouldn't recommend it. Not that it's a bad camera, it's a really good camera overall, but for that price point of $2,000, it really doesn't offer too much. It does have some standout features like the really good IBIS, but there's a lot of areas as far as video where it's average or below average, and with the GH5 coming out for the same price point, I think that's going to be a really great alternative. Thank you guys for watching this 5-minute review. If you guys want to see the full review, which is really detailed and we cover a lot of different topics we couldn't cover here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on that video as soon as it's posted. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next video.